The fastest moon in the solar system is falling. Metis laps Jupiter every 7 hours, and one day, it will tear itself apart into a new ring. Here's why. Jupiter is a monster. It is a world of crushing gravity, intense radiation, and violent storms that could swallow Earth whole. Surrounding this gas giant is an intricate system of dozens of moons, ranging from massive ice worlds to tiny captured asteroids. But if you travel past all of them, deep into the most dangerous gravity-warped region of the Jovian system, you will find a tiny survivor. This is Metis, the absolute innermost moon of Jupiter. Metis sits at the very edge of oblivion. It orbits Jupiter at a distance of about 128,000 kilometers. In astronomical terms, that is a hair's breadth. To put that in perspective, it is closer to the swirling clouds of Jupiter than our own moon is to Earth, despite Jupiter being over 300 times more massive. At this proximity, the gravitational forces should be overwhelmingly destructive. So how is this little moon still surviving, and what is its ultimate fate? The secret to its current survival is its blistering speed. Metis doesn't just orbit Jupiter, it races around it. It completes a full revolution every 7 hours. This makes Metis the fastest-moving moon in the entire solar system. In fact, it moves so incredibly fast that its orbital period is shorter than Jupiter's own day. While the massive gas giant rotates on its axis once every 10 hours, Metis laps it, crossing the Jovian sky faster than the planet spins. But this incredible speed comes at a terrible cost. The laws of orbital mechanics dictate that such an extreme environment leaves permanent scars. The immense gravitational gradient across the moon's body creates colossal tidal stresses. Metis is trapped in a relentless tug-of-war, and the immense energy it expends just to maintain this velocity is slowly writing its death warrant. We are witnessing a celestial body on the brink, fighting a losing battle against the largest planet in our neighborhood. Because of these extreme tidal forces, Metis never had the chance to form into a perfect sphere. Instead, it is a highly non-spherical, jagged rock. It measures approximately 60 by 40 by 34 kilometers. It's essentially an asymmetrical chunk of ancient debris, scarred by billions of years of existence in a hostile environment. It doesn't have enough gravity of its own to pull itself into a round shape, leaving it looking more like a battered asteroid than a traditional moon. Like our own moon, Metis is tidally locked. Its rotation has been perfectly synchronized with its orbit over millions of years, meaning the exact same face points toward Jupiter at all times. Imagine being trapped on a roller coaster, forced to stare at the exact same colossal swirling vortex of clouds forever. One side of Metis is perpetually locked in a stare down with Jupiter, taking the brunt of the gravitational pull, while the far side constantly faces the cold, dark void of space. To understand the danger Metis is in, we have to look at a concept called the synchronous orbit radius. For any planet, this is the specific distance where a moon's orbital speed perfectly matches the planet's rotation. If a moon sits exactly at this invisible boundary, it would appear to hover in the same spot in the sky. Moons above this line are slowly pushed away by tidal forces. But moons below this line face a very different, far more sinister reality. Metis's orbit is far below Jupiter's synchronous orbit radius. Because it races around the planet faster than Jupiter rotates, the tidal bulge that Metis raises on Jupiter's atmosphere actually trails behind the moon. This creates a gravitational drag, acting like an invisible parachute that constantly robs the moon of its orbital momentum. It's a microscopic but continuous theft of energy. This means that Metis is not in a stable orbit. It is in a relentless, slow-motion death spiral. Every single day, the orbital mechanics of the Jovian system are tightening the noose. The tidal forces are slowly but unstoppably pulling Metis inward toward Jupiter. With every lap it completes, its orbit shrinks by a fraction of a millimeter. It is a slow, agonizing descent. The moon is essentially falling into the gas giant, but moving sideways just fast enough to miss the atmosphere, for now. The closer it gets, the stronger the drag becomes, accelerating its eventual demise. But the gravitational death spiral isn't the only threat Metis faces. The space immediately surrounding Jupiter is not empty. It is a shooting gallery of high-velocity debris, interplanetary dust, and fragments of ancient collisions. Metis is plowing through this minefield at breakneck speeds. It has absolutely no atmosphere to protect it, meaning that every piece of debris, no matter how small, strikes its surface with the force of an explosive warhead. What else is hiding in this dark region? These micro-meteorite impacts are relentless. Over millions of years, they have pulverized the surface of Metis into a fine, chaotic regolith. But because the Moon is so small and has such incredibly weak gravity, it cannot hold on to this shattered material. When a meteorite strikes Metis, the resulting explosion doesn't just create a crater, it ejects a plume of dust entirely off the Moon and into the void of space. Metis is literally bleeding its own mass into the cosmos. This constant ejection of material leads us to one of the most stunning features of the Jovian system. Unlike Saturn's brilliant icy rings, Jupiter has a faint, ghostly ring system of its own, mostly made of dark dust. When the Voyager spacecraft first photographed this faint halo in 1979, scientists were baffled by its existence. Dust in orbit is quickly dragged down into the planet, so something had to be continuously feeding the ring. The answer lay hidden in the darkness. It turns out, Metis's orbit is directly within Jupiter's main ring. It isn't just flying through empty space, it is surfing through a vast, tenuous disk of particles. The Moon's path is perfectly aligned with the densest part of this dusty halo. For years, astronomers assumed that Metis was simply a shepherd moon, using its gravity to keep the ring particles in line. But the truth is far more dramatic, and it changes everything we know about the Moon's existence. This brings us to a mind-bending realization. Metis isn't just surviving inside Jupiter's main ring. Metis is the ring. The constant bombardment of micrometeorites on its surface is ejecting so much dust that it is the primary source of the ring itself. The halo surrounding Jupiter is not a separate structure. It is the pulverized ejected remains of Metis and its neighboring moon, Adrastea. The Moon is sacrificing its own body to paint a ring around the largest planet in our solar system. Think about the sheer scale of this phenomenon. A moon merely 60 kilometers wide is generating a ring structure that spans tens of thousands of kilometers across. It is a cosmic factory of destruction, grinding itself down over eons. Every single particle in Jupiter's main ring is a piece of shrapnel that once belonged to the solid surface of Metis. The ring is a living fossil, a trail of debris marking the slow, agonizing erosion of a doomed world. This fundamentally reframes what we are looking at. When we observe Jupiter's main ring, we are not looking at a permanent fixture of the solar system. We are looking at an ongoing crime scene. We are watching a moon bleed to death in real time. The material in the ring doesn't stay there forever. It gradually falls into Jupiter's atmosphere. To keep the ring visible, Metis must constantly replenish it, sacrificing more and more of its mass with every passing century. But this self-destruction is only half of the story. While the outer surface of Metis is being blasted into orbit to form the ring, the core of the Moon is still trapped in that deadly, decaying orbit. Remember, the tidal drag is continuously sapping its momentum. Metis is fighting a war on two fronts. It is being sandblasted from the outside by micrometeorites, and it is being dragged from below by the inescapable gravity of Jupiter. There is no escape. The exact timeline is uncertain, but the physics are absolute. Metis is a world with a definitive expiration date. As it is pulled closer and closer to Jupiter, the tidal forces will multiply exponentially. Right now, its solid structure is just barely strong enough to resist the gravitational gradient pulling across its 60-kilometer length. But there is an invisible line approaching. a boundary in space where the gravity of the planet overpowers the structural integrity of the Moon itself. This boundary is known as the Roche limit. It is the theoretical point of no return for any celestial body held together by its own gravity. When Metis crosses this threshold, the tidal forces pulling on its near side will be so much stronger than the forces on its far side that the Moon will simply snap. It won't be a gentle process. It will be a catastrophic, planet-shaking event. The fastest moon in the solar system will be ripped apart. When that final day arrives, the destruction of Metis will be absolute. Scientists hypothesize that the Moon will eventually crash directly into Jupiter's dense atmosphere, burning up as a spectacular meteor, or it will break apart entirely in orbit. Given its fragile, already fractured state, complete disintegration is highly likely. The immense gravitational shear will shatter its rocky core, turning the solid Moon into a massive swarm of billions of jagged boulders and microscopic dust particles. In a matter of days, this debris field will spread out along the Moon's former orbital path. The tragedy of Metis will be transformed into something breathtaking. The destruction of the Moon will give birth to a brand new, incredibly dense ring around Jupiter. For a brief period in cosmic history, Jupiter might even rival Saturn with a brilliant, spectacular halo, forged from the shattered corpse of its fastest and most tortured satellite. This climax resolves the ultimate paradox of Metis. The very forces that are killing it, the tidal drag and the micro-meteorite impacts, are the exact same forces that will immortalize it. It is a moon that is destined to become a ring, currently orbiting within the very ring it is already creating. Its death is not an ending, but a spectacular transformation. The Jovian system is a machine that recycles worlds, and Metis is next on the conveyor belt. This is the violent, beautiful reality of planetary systems. We often think of moons as permanent fixtures, static rocks suspended eternally in the night sky. But Metis proves that our solar system is a dynamic, ever-changing engine. Moons are born, they migrate, they are slowly pulverized by impacts, and eventually they are consumed by the planets that once anchored them. The cosmos is entirely unsentimental about the destruction of an entire world. We are incredibly privileged to be observing the solar system at this exact moment in time. If humans had evolved a few 100 million years later, Metis might already be gone. The fastest moon would be nothing more than a memory, recorded only in the orbital dynamics of a dusty halo. Instead, our telescopes and spacecraft get to witness the final act of this doomed world, watching it race against an inevitable gravitational execution. Every time Metis completes its rapid 7-hour journey around the gas giant, it leaves behind a little more of itself. It is a celestial hourglass running out of sand. The immense, crushing power of Jupiter is inescapable. The gas giant demands a sacrifice, and Metis is paying the toll with its own mass, until the day comes when there is absolutely nothing left to give. So when you look at images of Jupiter and see that faint, ghostly ring illuminated by the distant sun, you now know what you are truly seeing. You aren't just looking at dust. You are looking at the bleeding edge of a moon. You are seeing the pulverized remains of Metis, suspended in the vacuum of space. It is a visual testament to the sheer destructive power of the solar system's largest planet. The ultimate fate of this doomed moon is sealed. It is trapped in a decaying orbit, moving faster than Jupiter spins, slowly being dragged to its doom by the relentless tide of gravity. Whether it shatters into a billion pieces or plunges into the swirling clouds, its end is an absolute certainty. The question is not if Metis will be destroyed, but exactly when the gas giant will claim its final prize. Until that day comes, the tiny, battered rock will continue its frantic race. Every 7 hours, it completes another lap, defying the odds, surviving one more day in the most dangerous orbital environment imaginable. It is the fastest-moving moon we know of, a jagged survivor leaving a trail of its own destruction in its wake. It is a stark reminder that in the vastness of space, nothing lasts forever. If you want to continue exploring the violent, incredible phenomena of our solar system, make sure to subscribe. We are continuously uncovering the stories of doomed worlds, massive gas giants, and the incredible physics that govern the cosmos. Leave a comment below on what celestial mystery we should investigate next, and as always, keep looking up. The universe is full of secrets, and we're just getting started.
If you enjoy this content and want to see more, please consider subscribing. A quick tap on the like button also helps us learn what topics you like best. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next one.